Ethan, after 18 years, the company's eliminating your position. Please clear out your desk by the end of the day. No emotion. Just cold, corporate finality. The words came from Brendan, young, sharp-suited, and already looking past me like I was a checkbox on his Monday to-do list. Alicia from HR sat beside him, silent, already holding the folder. My name is Ethan Cross. I'm 55 years old. And until this morning, I was the lead systems architect at Orion Digital, one of the oldest hands in a tech company that built itself from nothing right here in Denver. I'd been here nearly 2 decades. From the screaming dial-up days to seamless cloud transitions, I stayed, while 3 CEOs came and went. I trained every new hire, restored lost servers at 2 a.m., skipped holidays to keep systems running, never asked for a raise, never expected praise. And now, they were discarding me like expired software. I didn't argue. Didn't plead. Just nodded once, quietly. I walked back to my desk, where the air had already changed. Co-workers, many of them kids I'd trained, glanced up, then quickly looked away, pretending not to see. I began to pack. A photo of my family. A mug my son made in high school. A tiny cactus that somehow survived 18 years under fluorescent lights. Lucia from marketing stopped by, eyes wide. Ethan, I just heard. This is insane. You built half this company. I shrugged. Companies change. But to do it like this? Without warning? After everything you... It's fine, I cut her off gently. It wasn't fine. But I wasn't going to make a scene. Not yet. I walked out of Orion with a box full of memories and a weight pressing on my chest that felt heavier than anything inside it. The wind bit against my face, but it still wasn't as cold as the feeling of betrayal settling in my gut. I sat in my car for a long minute, staring up at the 9th floor, my floor, the same windows that had stayed lit through so many long nights I pulled to keep the system alive. The employee badge I'd just turned in had been renewed 17 times. 17 years. And none of it mattered. But the truth is, I'd seen this coming. 4 months ago, things started shifting. They stopped inviting me to strategy meetings. Admin access I'd held for over a decade began quietly changing, no announcements, no explanations. I noticed emails about system updates were no longer copied to me. Projects I usually led were handed off to new hires and outside experts. One of them was a name I'd never heard before, Logan Worth, a so-called technology consultant, hired through a channel no one seemed able to explain. That night, sitting on the porch with a beer in hand, Clara looked at me from across the swing and asked, "Are you okay?" I just smiled faintly, staring up at the fading sky. I think something inside Orion is starting to rot. A week before they let me go, I saw something that made my blood run cold. I was doing what I'd always done, running one of my old background security scans. Most people had forgotten they even existed. But I hadn't. That's when it popped up, a series of unusual transactions in the company's financial logs. Vendor name, Helix Datacore. I'd never heard of them. So I checked their registration. The listed address? A rundown laundromat on the edge of town. The owner? Gavin Worth. Logan's younger brother. I didn't report it. I didn't say a word. I just made a copy. Quiet. Precise. Documented. That night, I didn't sleep. Clara lay beside me, breathing soft, unaware. I stepped out onto the balcony and stared at the Denver skyline, the same city I'd poured 2 decades into while keeping someone else's dream alive. They thought I wasn't paying attention. They thought I was just some aging IT guy, too outdated to notice what was happening behind the scenes. But I saw it. I saw everything. And now I had proof that someone, maybe multiple someones, were bleeding Orion dry from the inside. What they didn't know was this. The quiet guy in the corner? He was holding the match. And the whole system was about to burn. The next morning, I sat in my home office, sunlight bleeding through the blinds like a spotlight on a stage. No alarm. No meetings. No inbox screaming for attention. Just silence. And the weight of what I knew. I reached into my drawer and pulled out a small, encrypted hard drive. On it, screenshots, internal approvals, fake invoices, buried financial trails. Proof that something at Orion wasn't just broken. It was corrupt. I spent hours reviewing every line, every file. A $78,000 payment for a 3-line consultation report. Signed by Elliot Mason, Orion's head of finance. It was subtle. Calculated. And very, very illegal. Then I opened something few people even knew existed. An old internal email account I'd built years ago for security testing. It mimicked Orion's domain, but wasn't traceable within their system. I typed the subject line. Urgent, internal financial irregularities, immediate review required. I addressed it directly to Brendan, the same man who'd fired me 48 hours earlier like I was a forgotten password. I included just enough detail to shake the tree. No threats. No accusations. Just facts. Then I hit send. And waited. Not to beg for my job back. Not for an apology. But to see who would panic first. It took exactly 28 minutes. My phone rang. Brendan Sharp. The same man who dismissed me like an old server file. I let it ring. Voicemail picked up. Ethan. I just got your email. We need to talk. Immediately. Please, call me back. Please. Now he was using please. I set the phone down, slowly made a fresh pot of coffee. 10 minutes later, another call. This time from Alicia in HR. I didn't answer. Her voicemail came through, tight and corporate. Ethan, the information you're sharing is disruptive and may be in violation of your separation terms. Continued contact with Orion employees could result in legal action. There it was. From panic to threat. Then came the email. From Logan Worth. Short. Controlled. Creepy. We're all professionals, Ethan. There are ways to resolve this, quietly. Let's grab coffee. I think you'll want to hear what I have to offer. That last line? I think you'll want to hear what I have to offer. Was that an invitation or a warning? I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop, typed a few diagnostic commands. Access granted. They still hadn't revoked my credentials. Rookie mistake. What they didn't realize was I wasn't just watching anymore. I was listening. And now, I knew what they were hiding. But more importantly, I knew exactly what they were afraid of. 3 p.m. The landline rang, a number I didn't recognize. For some reason, this time. I picked up. Ethan. This is Elliot Mason. Finally. The finance guy himself. We need to clear up this misunderstanding before it spins out of control. I leaned back in my chair, silent. Look, I know you've been loyal. You've done a lot for the company. But this was a decision made from the top. Nothing personal. Nothing personal, I repeated. While you signed off on hundreds of thousands in payments to Logan's little ghost company? Silence. You don't see the full picture, he said, voice tightening. I see it better than you think, I cut in. And I'm not the only one. The board will want to see it too. Don't be stupid, Ethan. His tone shifted, lower, sharper. You're playing with something you can't control. This isn't just about money. This is about power. Structure. Wrong, I said calmly. It's about truth. And this time, it's going to speak loudly. I hung up before he could answer. That evening, I sent my full investigative report, anonymously, to 2 independent board members. Along with a warning. Your house has termites. Start pulling the wallpaper. I was no longer the silent gatekeeper. Now I was the torchbearer. And the shadows were running out of places to hide. Wednesday morning. The sky over Denver was dull and gray, like it knew a storm was coming. I sat parked 3 blocks from Orion's headquarters, laptop open on the passenger seat. On screen, an email, drafted and ready, scheduled to send at exactly 8 a.m. Subject line. Before you approve Q3 bonuses, read this. Attachment. My full report. Evidence of money laundering through Helix Datacore. Payment records. Signatures. Fake invoices. And one very special video clip. In it, Brendan Sharp, calm as ever, leaned back in a meeting and said, "As long as Ethan doesn't catch on, we're fine. 8 a.m. sharp. Send." I leaned back. And waited. 20 minutes later, my phone blew up. First, a text from Steven, the junior tech I'd mentored. "Ethan, what's happening? People are freaking out." Brendan stormed out. Elliot got pulled from the boardroom. Logan's yelling at 2 directors. I didn't reply. Just sent 2 words. Keep watching. By 9:02 a.m., unknown numbers started calling. I ignored them all. I wasn't here for apologies. I wasn't here for payback. I was here to reset the system. They thought I was just a name buried in old code. A relic. But now they knew. The system they tried to erase was the one still watching them. And it just went live. 10:37 a.m. Another unknown number. This time, I picked up. Mr. Cross? This is Miranda Hale, Chief Legal Counsel for Orion's Board of Directors. We've reviewed the documents you submitted, and we need you to come in. Immediately. I paused, then said flatly, "I'm under no obligation to come back. You fired me. Remember?" Silence. Then her voice softened. "We're not calling you as a former employee. We're calling you because you're the only one who still understands how this company truly operates." I didn't respond. But I drove to the building anyway. When I stepped through Orion's front doors, every head turned. Not out of pity. Not out of awkwardness. Out of respect. And fear. I took the elevator to the 20th floor, the executive floor. A place I'd never had reason to visit, until now. My name was already on the frosted glass door. Ethan Cross, Chief System Integrity Officer. I placed my briefcase on the desk. My view of downtown Denver stretched for miles. But I wasn't here to admire the skyline. I opened my laptop. Denied 3 vague purchase orders. Red flagged a pending vendor contract. The audit team would be here soon. Then came a knock. Steven stepped in, nervous smile on his face. "Good to see you again, sir." "Take a seat," I said, motioning to the chair across from me. "I want you running day-to-day ops. I'll handle the part no one likes to think about. The part that keeps the truth alive." He nodded, eyes wide with something I hadn't seen in years at Orion. Trust. The boardroom fell silent as I placed the folder on the table. Not a resume. Not a plea. A declaration. Inside was a single-page document, my terms for return. "If you want me back," I said evenly, "I'm not coming back to fix broken systems. I'm coming back to make sure no one breaks them again." Miranda opened the folder and skimmed. Her brows arched. Full audit access across all departments, veto power over all tech-related spending, direct reporting to the board. I nodded once. I'm not interested in patching holes. I'm interested in building something that doesn't sink. Another board member leaned forward. "You're asking for a lot, Mr. Cross." I looked him dead in the eye. "And I've already paid more. You have 24 hours. I have other offers. But Orion used to be home." I stood to leave. As I reached the door, Miranda called after me. If we do agree, what's the first thing you do? I paused, turned slightly. Clean house. The next day, at exactly 11:42 a.m., my phone rang. Miranda's voice was clear. Controlled. The board met. Unanimous vote. Every condition approved. Welcome back, Mr. Cross. Monday morning. The sky over Denver was clear. The storm had passed. I buttoned my shirt, straightened my tie. The suit felt strange at first, not because it didn't fit, but because this time, it fit differently. I wasn't dressing for a job. I was dressing to lead. Walking into Orion again, the security guard at the front desk did a double take, then quickly nodded. Welcome back, Mr. Cross. No badge. No sign-in. They knew exactly who I was now. The elevator opened on the 20th floor, executive territory. I'd never had business here before. Now, my name was on the glass. Ethan Cross, Chief System Integrity Officer. I placed my briefcase on the polished desk and turned to the window. Denver stretched out below me, a city I'd served quietly for 18 years without applause, without complaint. I opened my laptop and reviewed the financials. 3 line items didn't add up. I canceled them. The audit team would be in soon. I'd briefed them personally. Then came a knock. Stephen stepped in, nervous, but smiling. Good morning, sir. Have a seat, I said. You're running daily ops now. He blinked. Me? You've got the instinct. You just needed someone to see it. He sat, a little straighter. And what about you? He asked. I smiled slightly. I'll handle the part they never think about. The part they always forget. Until it's too late. A month passed. Denver was still fast, loud, always moving. But me? I'd slowed down, not out of exhaustion. But because for the first time in a long time, I didn't have to run anymore. Friday night. Clara and I sat on the porch under a soft golden light. She poured me a glass of wine, then leaned back and asked gently. So, you're back. Higher than ever. They respect you. Some even fear you. Are you satisfied? I looked out at the quiet street, the same one I'd walked every night after I was let go, trying to make peace with what happened. I took a sip, then answered. Not satisfied, but settled. In the end, it's not about the title. It's about holding on to who you are. When everyone else forgets who they are. She smiled and leaned her head on my shoulder. You didn't get revenge by shouting. You did it by staying silent, long enough to let the truth shout for you. Because shouting only makes people cover their ears, I said softly. But the truth? If whispered long enough, becomes thunder. The next morning, I posted one line on my long-forgotten LinkedIn. Sometimes, the best revenge is living long enough for them to need your permission. Within minutes, the post spread. Former coworkers. Engineers. Quiet professionals like me. They'd seen me erased like an outdated file. And now, they saw me restore the entire system without crashing it. Ethan Cross didn't just take his power back. He built a system that would outlive him. And left behind a message that would echo long after he logged off. Never underestimate the quiet one. Because when they speak, they don't speak noise. They speak truth. Some people are forgotten in silence. And some use that silence to rewrite history. If this story moved you, hit like, share it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next journey of justice, resilience, and quiet strength. Because out there, somewhere, another Ethan Cross is waiting to be heard. Tap the notification bell so every time the truth speaks, you're the first to hear it. And don't forget to watch the next video on screen. More untold stories are waiting to be revealed. Thank you for staying until the very end. Your presence gives power to every story we tell.